y-axis, or the left side, is rate of return, or yield. Now, in 2013, we were facing what we call a very steep curve. That is, very little return in the short end of the curve, in the range of 10, 20, 30 basis points. And as we have moved through time into the 2018 and 19 periods, we now, even in the short end of the curve, what we call the 90 to 180 day period, we are receiving, or we're able to get upwards of 2.25 and above for short-term investments. And as we get into the 3-year period, there's the 2.6, 2.8% that we can get if we do investments today. Slide. Now, last year when we met, we had the actual curve here of where we were at the end of 2017, and the forecast that the committee had was to look somewhat similar in the what we call the longer end, the 1 to 10 year basis, with the short end still being below what we call normal, that the shorter rates would be lower than the longer rates. Slide. Now, just to give you an idea, and we're not going to go through a lot of this, this is the list of the names. Again, Mike has to ascertain what those names are. He has, whenever we make a decision that we want to make some investments, he has to go and talk to Schwab, or, well, we use a couple of brokers, but primarily Schwab, and take a look at what's available to us, and then we will then lay off or make the investments. And you can see we have some maturities coming in this year, but we're all the way out to 2022 and 23, and we were able to get 3% on one investment, 2.95 on another. Slide. The results. The results have been, I think, pretty reasonable. Back in 2012 and 13, we were earning about, for the year, $7,000, $8,000. This year we earned just a little bit over $95,000. That's up from $75,000 the year before. I want to caution everybody, given the periods of time and the current interest rates that are available to us, we're not going to jump up much more from that. I mean, we had a nice step jump from 15 to 16 to 17 to 18. I think we'll do a little better in 19, but we're not going to make a material jump up from here in terms of what we have. Slide. So, where do we stand? And Craig can correct me if I'm saying something incorrect here. We think the economy, and certainly the numbers that came out this morning, the economy remains very strong. Given that the interest rate curve is fairly flat, that at least tells me, and this is more on a historical basis, that there seems to be some sense of coming inflation. That said, the Federal Reserve has indicated they're going to remain kind of in a flat posture. They're not going to move rates much. We continue, at least as of our last meeting, to believe that we ought to push out as far as we can, 2.5 to 3 years, to get as much yield as we can. The actions we took, I showed you in 16 and 12, 13, 16, 17, etc. We do plan to try and keep the maturities out as far as we can, in line with whatever the board kind of tells us in terms of what our needs may be in future periods. And so at this point in time, we think there is a slight upward bias in rates. We're going to continue to try and take advantage of that. Where we can, we will invest in the 2-3 year plus period of time. As an aside, most recently, we did make some 6 and 8 month investments, 9 month investments in the operating account so that we could get more than just the daily rate, which we were able to do. And by the way, those were T-bills that we bought because it was ironically a little bit better rate. So I'm pleased to show you this information, and we will continue to work on this. I will tell you, we don't meet on a regular basis. We meet on an as-needed basis when we have cash to invest. So we don't meet just for the sake of meeting. With that, I'll turn it over to Vivian.
Oh, thank you. Yeah? Okay, I get to be in charge. All right. There you go. Thank you very much, Bill. Bill does a tremendous job for us, and we really appreciate everything he does. He does help us curtail expenses considerably by bringing in close to 6 figures last year, and I'm sure we'll be well over that figure this year. So his efforts and the efforts of his team are certainly notable. On mine, I have the opportunity to work with some extraordinary people every day, and they do a magnificent job for you folks. And they're very proud of what they do, and kind of want to introduce them. I guess I'll start with Linda Irwin, who's at the end of this table. Linda's our executive assistant. She put all these forms together for us, and she basically runs interference with us in making certain that everything is held organized from an organization standpoint, and she's just kind of like the Johnny on the spot for us. So we do certainly rely on Linda for several activities for our association. In addition, we've got a patrol manager, Ron Tuxbury. Ron's in London today, so he's having a good vacation, and we wish him well, but keeping patrol on board and keeping a 24/7 operation up and running and making certain that things are flowing well within the community, extraordinarily important. When we look at, let's talk about Dave Michaud. He's our food and beverage director, and he's also our executive chef. Dave's in the back there kind of hanging out. And Dave works very, very hard on making certain that the food is of the utmost quality for everyone, as well as an emphasis on service. So Dave's been with us for quite a while now. About, how long, Dave? 13 years. So that's a true testament to sticking around, and we do appreciate all your efforts on that. Mike Triber is back. Yeah, Mike's back there. He's our controller, and I think you've been hearing a lot of accolades from both Marty as well as Bill on Mike's work. He got us through the last audit here, definitely making sure that the auditors had all the information they needed, and basically keeps us straight in terms of where we are at financially, so that we can move forward and make certain that things are within the budget and that we are on track to meet our target goals. Next one I want to talk about is Troy. Troy Ukes is back there. He's our new, we promoted him, and he is our new our new head golf professional. And I'm pleased to say, and we just got through with the Quail Classic. We're going into the Roadrunner Classic. We've done a number of tournaments. I've got nothing but accolades from Troy. I wish you would welcome him, though, because I really would like to see a big round of applause for Troy. And I'm happy to say that Troy has enlisted a helper for himself. He's actually hired a new gal. Her name is Jane Chanik. And Jane's going to be, she's been here for the last couple of months helping us get through the tournament phase. She's actually going to take a little break, because everybody needs a little break now and then, but she's going to take a little break. She's going to come back full-time on August 5th, and she will join us as the assistant golf pro. So, Troy, we appreciate all your efforts, and I'm really happy that Jane is going to stick around with us. Back there as well, I don't see him. Yeah, there he is. Mike Roddy's back there, and Mike's got a lot of work to do this year. I'm surprised he's got time to sit in this meeting, but that's okay. We really do appreciate everything you're doing. He's got a lot of projects going on. As you're aware of, the bunkers were replaced last year on Saddlebrook course. They're going to be replaced on the Catalina course this year. And then also, he's got a program, a top dressing program that will help the growth of our grass and hopefully lower maintenance costs, as well as strengthen the actual root of the material and give us a much better quality on our golf courses. Although I have to say our golf courses are in great shape at this point. And I'm going to ask you to give a round of applause for Mike as well, because I think Mike's done an outstanding job for us. Also back there is a guy named John Honey. He's got an infectious way about him, and Linda's laughing, and so is the staff, because they're well aware that John just gave me a cold. And so thank you for your infectious enthusiasm, John. We really appreciate it. And if you all give John actually came to us as a server. And he started out as a server and then moved to the front office, and he told me, Vivian, I'm going to make this my career place. This is the place I want to be. And when we had an HR opening, he kind of moved into HR as our recruiting kind of person. I found out that John had a background. He actually graduated from Penn State with an HR background in labor relations. Maybe that's why he's so infectious, I don't know. But anyway, if everybody would please welcome John, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you, John, for all your work. Let's see, next person up on the list would be, do have our IT people here, I noticed. Kurt Poff is our new webmaster. He's over here running the camera for us. Thank you, Kurt. And we've got Ray Drain is our hardware guy in IT, another IT person, so they're very important. Please clap for him because I want my computer to work later on today. So thank you very much. And then I've got, last person I wanted to introduce is John Reed. He's our new Director of Operations. We're very excited to have John join this team. He's got a real emphasis on infrastructure, which is something that we really need in Saddlebrook. He's taking a hard look at our electrical and our HVAC systems, as well as overall with the common area and the buildings in their entirety and overall look. So I'm very happy that John is here, and if you'd all welcome him, and I'd really appreciate that. I had a talk with John yesterday, and we were talking about basically his staff, and we were talking about people get called in, and I said, yeah, Marco gets called in a lot. In fact, one of the residents said to me in the middle of a monsoon storm last year, they said, hey, I heard a chainsaw right after the storm. I thought I was back in Illinois. And I said, no, that was Marco. He came out and he cleared the trees out on Saddlebrook Boulevard. It was 5 o'clock at night. It was on a Saturday, and I told John, well, I said, John, he lives in Catalina, so he knows what's going on over here, and he'll stop by, and make sure that everything's running. And he looked at me and he goes, well, what are we going to do? I mean, we got to have a plan. I mean, what happens when Marco leaves? And I told John, I said, well, John, you don't understand. Marco and I had the same retirement date. We have an agreement going. So Marco's back there, and so if you all want to recognize Marco, I'd really appreciate it. But, yeah, we're retired together. So, John, that's your succession plan start there for that. Let's see, the next thing I want to talk about, so just an extraordinary group of people doing a wonderful job. I think I've touched on everybody, so I'll move to the next slide. When we talk about, and this is what these folks are really in charge of, is human capital management. This is really important to us in how we manage the people, and you'll see it on the next slide in a minute. And basically what that includes is wages, medical, dental, vision, 401k, FICA, which of course is Social Security, payroll taxes, and the workers' comp insurance. And this is the reason why it's so important. The labor costs in 2016 were $4.4 million for our association. We have about 152 employees, and that includes those attributes in terms of the payroll taxes and all the benefits that go with it. In 2017, it grew to 4.7 million, or 57.1% of the budget. This is the year that the state of Arizona implemented the new minimum wage, and it jumped $2 an hour from 2016 into 2017. And kind of caught us flat-footed a little bit, but we were up and running, and I think we've made some adjustments in 2018, and you'll see there we dropped back down to 55.5% of the budget, where it went to 4.8%. In 2019, that's a budgeted number of 5.1 million. I know that we will not hit that number because we have been seeing some huge savings in the golf operations area. Thank you very much, Troy. As well as in food and beverage, as well as in administration. So we're gonna beat that number. It's just a question of how much we'll beat it by the end of the year, but we do intend to bring that number down as much as we possibly can. Let's see, the way that we do that, and so how do you bring that number down? Well, one of the things we do is we do use contractors during peak times, less during slow periods, and this is my opportunity to talk a little bit about Primavera, and I don't know if everyone knows about it. It's actually a second chance group. In other words, they are homeless individuals, both men and women, and Primavera allows them, they have housing on the south side that they allow, and then they also put them into jobs. And they solicit different companies and even private residents to call Primavera and hire them out. We've used Primavera now for the last couple of years, actually 3 years, done an outstanding job. They have a great job coach. The job coach actually lives up here in Oro Valley. And he is excellent on keeping everyone in track. Basically, they're given a list of duties to do during the day, and I'm sure you've seen them out either behind your homes or on the main thoroughfares, taking care of the weeds, taking care of the common areas, and making sure everything's cleaned up. They do an extraordinary job. And we can flex them. So in other words, we currently have usually 4 men along with a job coach, but we can flex them to increase that staff when we need, perhaps during monsoons we'll have more things down, or we'll need more attention because of weeds or issues in the common area, and we can increase that number. And then during the slow periods like January and February, when we experienced quite a bit of snow and things like that, you decrease that time down. And so, you know, the flexibility that they give us, as well as the work that they give us, is tremendous. So it's been a great marriage between Saddlebrook and Primavera, and it helps both parties. The other thing is we do try to keep the service level up and to reduce the cost. And one of the things is those people that I introduced, they are all working managers, and they have extraordinary experience in their areas. They are not new people out of school. These are people that have been in the industry quite a while. They know exactly where they're headed, what their goals are, and that speaks very highly for the people that are here in this room that allow us to do our jobs, because you are allowing us to go out and get the talent that we need to run the association extraordinarily well for you folks. They do have the ability to make adjustments, and that's probably one of the more important things, is how well are they working on the slide. And I think this last 2 months in January and February has really given us an opportunity to come up with some challenges. We've got golf. It's hard to play golf in the snow. So obviously the revenue lines on golf and food and beverage were affected dramatically during that time. So golf operations, and we knew that we would come, January, February, tough months. March, we had quite a bit of rain, and we're hoping for a good April as well, but we have bounced back rather well. At the end of March, golf operations, the net income, even with the weather in the situation, the net income is better than budget by over $10,000. And that's primarily due to water savings, because when it snows and it rains and we can't play golf, obviously we don't need to order more water. But also a huge increase in labor savings, because managing those people and making certain that they're here when they need to be, not necessarily when they don't need to be when the weather is off. So managing that workforce is extraordinarily important, and making certain that you're making the right decisions from a staffing standpoint. F&B operations at the first quarter, the net income is better than budget by $5,700. Dave's actually in the black by about $5,000, which for this type of operation is very unheard of. I mean, it's just, this is usually in a homeowner association, you know, food and beverage is a huge subsidy. Dave has been really concentrating on trying to bring that subsidy down. As Marty said, the subsidy last year was about $135,000. That's not bad on a $2.3 million revenue line. So we're very pleased with the work that food and beverage has put out here. Primarily, the reason that it's down that much and that we're making that much money, our events. We have an events team that is amazing. They put on the chef's table. They do the dinner theater, which was extraordinary for March. We had 4 nights of dinner theater where we were sold out. We are sold out right now for Easter. Still have tickets available for Mother's Day if anybody wants to celebrate Mother's Day. So you can stop by the office and make a reservation. We've got plenty of room for you. But basically that's what's happening. We have events up here, and it's not unusual for our events to sell out. Tonight is burger night, and I expect that we always have a running pool in the kitchen on how many burgers we're going to sell. Is it going to be 215? Is it going to be 195? I mean, how many are they doing? Because they make the burgers obviously before the night is up, so they want to make sure they have plenty of them. So it really is important that these folks are in fact managing their departments according to things that are outside of their control. Couldn't control the weather, but we can control the departments, and I think that speaks highly for the staff. Looking a little closer, as Marty said, the audit was completed, no material weaknesses, no significant deficiencies. The thing that we have seen though over 2017 and 2018, if you look at just the first quarter, we sold 47 homes in 2017 in the first quarter, and then 31 homes in 2018. And we're down to 27, and that's primarily due to the weather. I mean, people couldn't get out of Nebraska and Minnesota to come look at homes. I think we are going to see a rebound effect in the months of